My name's Lucinda Westwood. I'm part of the education group, Eco Ed 2030 from the Eastbourne Eco Action Network. And this evening I'm going to be introducing to you my Eco Action webinar course. I've run this a couple of times. The last time I ran it in August. And this is a course that I've designed specifically for teenagers. Unfortunately, our school system at the moment is not meeting the needs of young people in terms of educating them about climate change, and certainly not when it comes to educating them about how they can take action to support the environment. So I'm just going to share my screen and just start my presentation. Sorry, a few technical problems there. Let me just try that again. Share screen, and there we go. Okay, so if we look at this first slide here, Teach the Future did some research recently where they discovered these statistics. So as you can see, many students feel that they want to learn more about the environment. Teachers don't feel that they have adequate training to educate students about climate change. And the number of students that actually really feel that they are properly educated about climate change, unfortunately, is incredibly low. So that is where I decided to come in to this, and I designed my Eco Action course around the following course structure. For those of you in education, you'll kind of recognize the kind of onion peel concept. So if we start with the idea of a young person deciding that they want to take eco action, in order to really do this effectively, they need to be taking action on many different levels. So you have the individual actions that they can take, and on its own, individual actions are not really going to be enough. However, if they then move out to the next stage and they work on influencing friends, family, classmates, colleagues, if they are working, that is another layer of eco action. Moving on there is taking action within the community. And then finally, you have taking action related to politics and business. So with the course that I run, it is a 4-week course, and each week relates to the different parts that I just explained there. So I communicate with my students through a variety of platforms. We use Teams for a lot of our communication. When I first set up these webinars, I set up 2 new social media accounts, Love Green Spaces. That's not a typo. I just couldn't get the same handle for both of them. This is my email, lucindawestwood74@gmail.com. And then there is my Padlet, which is probably the most important part of communicating content. So there is an example of my Teams page. This is one from August, where I had already had the students contact me, and then I'm getting in contact with them, and then I start to post things. Now, this is great because I can get messages to them fairly quickly. However, just as with WhatsApp and other kind of message board applications, you sometimes think, oh, okay, I remember that message, where was it? And it can be a bit difficult to find your way back to things. So I use Padlet quite a lot on the EcoEd 2030 page. I've got Padlets for learning resources, and for each Eco Action course, I have a slightly different Padlet, and this is the Padlet that I used for the August 2020 course. Well, I'm just going to stop sharing that presentation for a moment, and I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back there, and I'm just going to open this link here. Okay, so here is my Padlet page. One issue with these Padlet pages is they do take a long time to load because you have lots of active links on them. And as you look across, you can see the same structure that I showed on the slide with the kind of onion layers, where you've got the individual actions, week 1, influencing friends and family, week 2, community, week 3, and then politics and business is week 4. So I'm just going to run through the kind of content that I make available for students on this Padlet and how the whole course works. So if you are a student watching this and you're interested in taking this course, this gives you a better idea, or maybe you know somebody that you'd like to recommend this to. So week 1, I put my PowerPoint presentation. So I do 4 sessions, and I talk to students and work out what the best time of day and what the best day of the week is to do this. Our one in the summer we ran on a Sunday at 7 o'clock, and we did 4 sessions. So I put the PowerPoint presentation so that students can go back to that, and then any other related tasks. So for the individual actions, we did an individual action plan on Trello. There were some questions there that students had to answer prior to the first session. And we also worked together through the WWF carbon footprint calculator, and then had discussions about how we could, as individuals, reduce our carbon footprints. Sometimes I will put additional courses. This is an excellent course from the Open University in much more detail about how to reduce your carbon footprints. Week 2, influencing family and friends. Again, you've got the PowerPoint there. I am really into podcasts. There is an absolutely amazing selection of podcasts out there on various different platforms. And sometimes I ask students to listen to a podcast prior to a session. So with this particular podcast from Conservation Tribe, the title there mentions the pangolin, but that wasn't actually the reason why I asked students to listen to it. There is a section in that podcast where an Instagram influencer talks about using TikTok to get her environmental message across to young people. And as this is part of the influencing friends and family session, that was pertinent. So moving on to week 3. Now, this is the week which is specific to the local area. If you are joining us from anywhere else in the country, you're more than welcome to join my next course. However, week 3 focuses specifically on local action in the Eastbourne area. So again, you've got PowerPoint presentation there. You've got a link to the Eastbourne Eco Action Network. I then have this section where I've given links to local action groups. So you've got XR, you've got tree planting groups, and I'll talk about these further in a moment. There's another section for local volunteering, for example, organic farms, allotments. And then we move on to the final week, which is politics and business. For this particular one, this was around the time that there was a program on the BBC, again, about plastics. And so some of the assignments for that were to watch that particular program. And you have links for how to engage with politics and business. So here you can see reference to links for politics. This is where you can look up MPs and see what they voted for and what they haven't voted for, and then you can maybe make the decision to get in contact with them and question why. These are some excellent resources from Greenpeace, which gives students examples of letters and tweets and other ways of getting involved, both politically or for business. And then the rest of the Padlet really has kind of random resources that I've put in because I felt they might be helpful. You have some of my favorite podcasts there that I've introduced students to, and I'm happy to say I've got quite a few of them who now are regular listeners to some of these podcasts. Reading material, apps. So Olio, for example, is a food sharing app which aims to reduce food waste. Links to other online courses, and various other resources like top people to follow on Instagram, other articles, banking, how to kind of bank ethically, that kind of thing. So the Padlet is a changing picture. I update it regularly, and the next course that I will be running will have a lot of the same things on here, but there will be different resources as well. Okay, I'm just going to stop that share there, and I'm just going to go back to my presentation. And current slide. Okay, now in the summer, I had a fantastic little group, and Maisie, who is a year 13 student from Heathfield Community College, attended my course, and she very kindly agreed to do a little video for me with feedback, so you can hear firsthand how a student felt about taking my course. So I'm just going to play that video, which is just under 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Maisie and I attended the online Eco Action course over the summer, and I absolutely love this course for so many different reasons. One particularly was all of the resources that Lucinda provided us with, which was so useful and interesting. I loved the conversations that we had during our weekly Microsoft Teams about the work we completed and like how we can take more meaningful environmental action within our everyday lives. And for me, a highlight was definitely meeting other people who are so like-minded and passionate about the environment and hearing their ideas and their perspectives, which was so amazing and inspiring. For me, I think the course had like the perfect balance between meeting time and time outside the meeting to complete tasks and research and get involved in other eco actions and activities in our local area. And I think there was just the right amount of time between the sessions to complete these tasks and get more involved. So as I mentioned earlier, I was really grateful that Lucinda provided us with so many resources, of different ways to get involved. I mean, ways that I couldn't even have thought of before I started the course, but I knew I wanted to get involved in more ways. So one of the things I have done in my own time since the courses, I attended some Greenpeace webinars over the summer. They were all aimed at young people over a whole range of different themes and topics to inspire them to take more action for the planet. And another thing I managed to be involved in was this year's online Youth Climate Summit, which took place the week that was meant to see the COP26 meeting in Glasgow. And that was such an incredible opportunity. I met people from all over the country and even internationally, so many like-minded young people who are so passionate about the environment and our planet and fighting for environmental justice. So I would definitely recommend this course to anyone, to all other people, because I think it has provided me with so many clear and effective ways about how now I can take action in order to protect the environment, and how I can influence others too, and show them just how important our planet is and how much we really do need to fight for it and protect it.
Okay, so thanks so much to Maisie for that amazing endorsement of my course. So as I said, my next course will start in January. You have on this on one of the previous slides, I had all the details of my social media, my email, so you can get in contact with me. I am part of the EcoEd 2030 group, which is the education group of the Eastbourne Eco Action Network, so my details are on there as well. However, if you want to get involved in some eco action right now, if you don't want to wait till January, I thought just this last part of my presentation, I would give people a few ideas. Now, the first ideas relate to local initiatives. And this is not an exhaustive list by any means. So the first port of call really has to be the Eastbourne Eco Action Network. Fantastic project that was set up quite recently. And if you look along the second tab, you can see the different groups that exist. And if you click on which one you're interested in, it takes you to their main page, and then you can express your interest and send an email, and then somebody will get back to you. So that's one option. Treeborn came from the tree planting, biodiversity and carbon capture part of the Eastbourne Eco Action Network. This is their new website, which only went live about a week ago. If you click on planting projects, you can see the new tree planting project in Sevenoaks Rec, which is going to be starting very soon. In fact, the first trees will be going in the ground on, I believe, the 4th or the 5th of December. You can see the tab on the top left-hand side for get involved. So if you want to actually get involved with planting some trees in a local park in Eastbourne, then go to that page, fill in your details, and somebody will get back to you very soon with some slots where you can get involved in tree planting. Bass Explore, amazing project, removing very challenging plastic objects from the Beachy Head and Seven Sisters area. So they have, I don't have all the data, but they have removed huge quantities of plastic, which if left would just break down and end up eventually becoming microplastic. So amazing work there. And then finally, last but not least, Plastic Free Eastbourne. Fantastic group to get involved with. Their current project is Adopt a Beach. So you can contact them, and you can decide which beach you are going to adopt, and then you become responsible for keeping that beach clean and tidy and free of plastic. And that's obviously not the only initiative that they're responsible for. They have been responsible for some really amazing projects in the Eastbourne area. So those are some examples of local projects. As I said, there are many more. I've just picked 4 there. And I'm just going to give you one final example, which is a political one. So Caroline Lucas tabled the CEE bill at the beginning of September. This will be heard in Parliament, I believe, in March. The list of MPs who are supporting the Climate and Ecological Emergency Bill is growing. However, there are many MPs who are still not supporting it. You have an image there of the CEE bill official website, which has some amazing resources, including examples of letters and different types of action that you can take. And at EcoEd 2030, we thought, just imagine if MPs received handwritten letters from school children or teenagers, or adults for that matter, asking them to support this bill. So in EcoEd 2030, we have a regular newsletter that goes out every month, and there will be further information about this going out in the December newsletter. But if you want to take part in some action right now, here is an example of some political action. So tying back in with this whole idea of moving from individual, friends, family, community, local, to then outwards to political and action, when we put all of those together, we can be far more effective in terms of the action that we take. My final slide, I've just got some links there for you from things that I have referred to in this presentation. The second one is an article from The Guardian, which just kind of talks through how the national curriculum is failing students at the moment. Not, of course, it doesn't mean that many schools aren't doing an amazing job. Many schools are and many teachers are. However, the national curriculum itself is not meeting the needs in this current climate. And then you have other links to some of the other action groups, and then EcoEd 2030 at the bottom. Okay, so I'm just going to stop my presentation there. If anyone has any questions, you can pop your questions in to the chat box. If not, then it's time for me to say good evening and thank you very much for listening. We got any questions? No, doesn't look like we have. Okay, thank you then. Bye-bye.